Hello, and welcome to another episode of Momentum. I'm your host, Philip Allison. Our guest today is a senior civil engineering major from New Orleans. It's Jessica Lewis. Jessica, thank you for joining us today.
Thank you for having me, Philip.
Yeah, we're certainly glad to have you to start the new year. It's a great way to start 2021.
Oh, yeah.
So, we mentioned civil engineering as your major, but kind of a little bit more specifically, within civil engineering, you're very heavily involved with one of our research centers. Why don't you tell us a little bit about that?
For a year now, I've been working with CMRC, Construction Materials Research Center, and that honestly has been the highlight of my undergraduate education. I have been able to have my own testing plan, work with industry professionals, and get a host of experience with all type of construction materials.
And when you say you have your own testing plan, can you kind of explain what that means a little bit?
So there's a new machine that we have that we're working on a test method called R-Track. That was one of the first things that I did when I started working with CMRC probably about a year ago. And we basically use that to test the combined effects of the environment on asphalt specimens.
So it sounds like you focus pretty heavily on, you said asphalt. Is that like highways and roads and bridges? Kind of what's the application for that?
There are several different applications for asphalt, but the one that I primarily focus on are highways and roads.
And are you looking to make them more durable so they last longer, or kind of what's the plan?
Just to find any overall improvements that we can make, not only to the character of the material, but the industry as a whole.
Yeah. And I know from talking to Dr. Howard, who's one of the leaders of the CMRC, that you've put in almost 1,000 hours, maybe even a little bit more at this point, of research. That's a lot of research hours for an undergrad. Has it been a very good experience for you?
Yes, over the past year, I've actually been able to keep on average about a 20-hour a week. So it's kind of like a part-time job that I have had continuously through my undergraduate, and I just love the work that I'm in. I'm actually at 1,375 hours to be specific. So any opportunity that I get, any free time, if I'm not dealing with school, I just put that into CMRC.
Yeah. And I guess, how did you kind of get into that? Is that something that you had planned for when you started school, or how did you join up
It
with
was
them?
actually I say an accident on how I joined. I was actually meeting one of the professors about a homework assignment, and Dr. Howard stopped me in the hallway, as he does with many other students. He said, "You look pretty lost. Can I help you with anything?" And I explained to him what was going on and what my situation was. And we just ended up talking for about 2 hours that day. And I told him about my aspirations, what I wanted to do, the fact that I wanted to get myself out there because for the front half of my undergraduate career, I had only been in the classroom in the library, as I say. So I didn't have any opportunities to present, talk to people, build technical skill, build communication skills, get involved in things other than what we are expected to do as a student. So after that conversation that we had, he basically offered me a job. He said, "You look like someone I'd really want to work with. You show the character and the traits that I want in all my researchers." And I just went with the opportunity.
Yeah, it sounds like a kind of a great opportunity to just kind of fall on your lap like that.
Yeah, I would say.
Yeah, Dr. Howard's pretty great. He's done a lot of great work with that center. And I know also, kind of moving on from that a little bit, you interned with Huntington Ingalls, which is a shipbuilder. So I can't imagine that working with asphalt and working with ships necessarily have a lot of parallels. But tell us a little bit about that internship.
Well, they actually do have a lot of parallels. Something that I didn't know when we say materials in civil engineering, that can mean anything from steel to concrete to asphalt. So in CMRC, we predominantly focus on two large groups, which is asphalt and concrete. The material that I worked with specifically when I was working at Ingalls was steel, specifically AH-36 steel. A lot of the things that I did there was static and dynamic finite element analysis on different things on the ship. So we worked from the coolest assignment that I had was like a machine gun that was armored to the top deck. But we also had to work on things like the desk or the bunks that the Navy soldiers would use.
And I guess what were you doing with some of those, like the beds and the desks and?
We mostly just check the frequency of the structural elements. We have to make sure that different frequencies didn't match to where we had failure within the system. It's the same reason why military groups do not march over bridges, because sometimes the frequency can resonate with the bridge and it can cause damage. So
Oh wow, that's fascinating. That's something I'd never heard before. Um, and I guess kind of going back a little bit to the beginning. I mean, how did you get into civil engineering? Is it something that you knew that you wanted to study before you came to college, or again, did you just kind of luck into it?
I hate to say this, but I kind of lucked into it. As a kid, I excelled in math from elementary school, middle school, high school. I just excelled. I love math, but I never really knew how to apply it other than becoming a teacher. I originally wanted to be a high school calculus teacher, and a student here, I forgot his name. He came to my school, my high school that I went to in New Orleans, and he was basically one of the recruiters that they had. And his speech was so compelling. I was like, I just have to look into this. I did some research within Mississippi State. I found out that it was an astounding engineering school. I called different buildings to see what the engineering was like. And once I talked to someone in the civil engineering department, I thought that that's what worked best for me in my interest. So I just went out on a limb. I knew I liked math. I picked civil engineering and I hoped for the best when I arrived here. And it's just excelled for me.
Yeah, well, excellent. We're glad that it worked out that way.
Thank you.
Um, so you had no connection to Mississippi State kind of before that student speaker.
No, I did not.
We're great. Lucky accident for us.
Oh, yeah.
So I guess what else outside of engineering have you been involved with? Have you been involved with any extracurricular activities your time here in Starkville?
So my first year that I worked in CMRC, I was also in a leadership and service group called Ideal Woman here on campus. So we do lots of different things like fundraising, bringing mental health awareness to students in the union. We do a lot of raffle tickets. We would go to help young girls in the local Starkville area with just different things that they need about in school, and find any opportunity to help the Boys and Girls um, Club. So we would do food drives or try to go there and mentor and take positions at their center to help the kids.
Yeah, that sounds like a great organization and certainly a lot of good in the community.
Oh, yeah.
Are you planning on graduating here soon? I know you're a senior.
So I have decided that I want to stick around for my PhD. Luckily, this semester I've only had 3 undergraduate courses left for my graduation, so I was actually able to enroll in my first graduate course. I am taking one of Dr. Howard's classes called Material Characterization. We actually have a final project that I'm working on, and my topic for this final project is FTIR. It's infrared Fourier transform spectroscopy. Really easy to say. So it's basically where you take an infrared light and you send it through a sample. That sample will resonate with different elemental groups within it, and from there you can start to characterize your sample. Over the time in the pandemic, I've had the opportunity to go and work and be mentored by people in the industry. So, for example, I've had time at Paragon Technical Services in Jackson, where Dr. Kodrin actually was the first person to teach me and give me background information on FTIR. I also got to work with their employee named Miss Katie, who specializes in all of their chemistry that goes on in that service. And she was the one who gave me all the background knowledge about the background chemistry knowledge of FTIR. So I'm really thankful that I can actually be mentored by people in the industry, people who know what's going on, and apply this to school. I've also been able to work with people who are ranked high up in that area, in that group, like Dr. Galen Bob Garner. I've spent a lot of time with him over the past few months, and I'm just really starting to feel a part of this industry. And I'm glad that I can make these connections from what's going on in the industry, what I'm being taught in class, and what I'm doing for research.
Wow, that sounds great. That's you certainly, for someone who didn't really know about engineering or Mississippi State until you decided to come here, you certainly made the most of your time here.
I definitely have. And if I wanted to give a message out to any other student, go for it. Just like I had no idea what I wanted to do, I just knew I had this one interest, and I was kind of frightened to go into a major or an industry that doesn't have as much representation of people that look like me. So I want to tell other students, don't be afraid to go out and just engulf yourself in something, because it may work out for you. It may just be the best thing that you fall into.
Yeah, that sounds excellent. And I'm going to brag on you just a little bit here. So like I said, made the most of your time here. You're one of only 5 students in the entire country to be named a Kirk Scholar, which is extremely impressive. And you were also selected as the Civil Engineering Student of the Year by the Mississippi section of the American Society for Civil Engineers.
Yes.
So you've certainly kind of made your mark, and I know you were able to kind of do some of this with the help of some scholarships, and some different organizations stepped in to help you.
Yes, I've had major help from organizations like Ergon, the Asphalt Institute. Those people actually provided so many opportunities that allowed me to pave a clearer path through my end of my education.
And I'm sure you're very grateful for their assistance and the help that they provided.
I really am.
Yeah. So you mentioned kind of want to stick around for your PhD. So have you started working on your master's with one class, and you're hoping to kind of continue that moving forward here at Mississippi State?
Yes, I am. The fortunate thing about me pursuing my PhD is that me and Dr. Howard have actually had a few conversations about what my dissertation topic might be. And hopefully there may be changes, but we're thinking that the R-Track method can be something that would serve as my dissertation topic. So the fact that I've actually been working on this as an undergraduate and can probably excel and use that as my dissertation is just beyond me.
Yeah, well, it's very exciting that we get to keep you around campus for a few more years before we turn you loose to do some more great things in the world. So, Jessica, thank you very much for joining us today. That is all the time we have for today's show. Remember, you can keep up with all the latest news for the Bagley College of Engineering at our website at bagley.msstate.edu, or you can follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube at MSU Engineering. Thanks for watching.